Yes, there's no doubt that Harry and Meghan's trip to Nigeria is something that they are planning around the Invictus Games. Nigeria was a contestant for the first time last year and is hoping to host a future Games. And there's also no question that, reportedly anyway, the costs, security issues will be looked after by the Nigerian government. It's a mix. They'll be watching sport. There'll be a women in leadership event for Meghan. Harry will be involved and in Invictus related events, and also it will be the usual mixture of the sporting and the cultural, which you get in royal tours, visits to schools, and also it helps put Nigeria on the map.
Hello everybody, it is fantastic to be here in Nigeria with you all and to be here at the school for our first visit. Hi.
And you've seen me and you, but as I look around this room, I see myself in all of you as well.
So if you take anything away from today, just know that mental health affects every single person in the entire world.
There's no doubt that the Nigerians will be particularly keen to have the Sussexes because Meghan's discovered she's 43% Nigerian, and because in the case of all royal tours, and the irony sadly is at the moment that owing to serious illness, the King is unable to go on royal trips abroad, and also the Princess of Wales can't. But one of the benefits is that it does mean there's a tremendous amount of publicity for the best side of whatever country is being visited. And I think the Nigerians are looking to pick up on that and also benefit from it. And there's no doubt that there will be photo opportunities, very carefully staged. And Sussex's spokesperson has outlined 3 days in Nigeria, which should be beneficial, obviously, to the Sussexes who haven't been abroad in this way previously. They were in Jamaica, but then that was quite brief. This is a sort of, you could say it was an unofficial royal tour. It has that feel about it. The aspects of what they're doing, I mean, Meghan's Lemonade Media podcasts, I gather that what was going to be put on Lemonade Media, Meghan's Archetypes, is going to be postponed for a while. Possibly, you would have thought, if they're that in demand, I would have thought that it would have been a good idea to do it as well as or put it on, but as well as the Netflix program that she's involved with. But again, what they're doing is not, I would suggest, very A-list. They are members of the royal family. They are now using that with the St. Paul's event, with Scottish Little Soldiers, with the links with the Spencers when they were here, when Harry was here, and now they're having this tour to Nigeria, which they know very well is going to attract an enormous amount of press, and what coverage it gets. And if this is the big test, will this change ratings in America and in Britain? Will that improve their ratings? And the answer is it may, but we'll have to wait and see. I mean, ideally, when you have a serious illness, you can relax, you can get better. In the case of cancer, of course, that's very serious. You have time to recuperate, you have help from family, but also you can be quiet if you need to be, and very often you do need to be. Now, the situation with the King, who after all hasn't been king for that long, is very, very different. Charles is a workaholic. He loves interacting with people. We've seen that recently a lot. And of course, he wants to do more. But on the other hand, of course, his doctors have the final say in what he does and the events he's able to attend. I mean, when he went to the Royal School of Military Engineering yesterday, it was a visit that was arranged at the last minute on the advice of his doctors, since he's balancing his plans. Now, Obviously, Harry's visit here was something he would infinitely have preferred not to deal with, because I don't think that the king wanted to send a message that he was too busy to see his son, but the circumstances of a meeting that may very well be stressful. I would emphasize we don't know how the earlier meeting in February, when he heard of the king's diagnosis and came over, I'm sure he was very upset to hear of it, but we don't know how well it went. And we do know that there are problems, and also that Harry and Meghan were evicted from Frogmore after Spare memoir attacked the royal family, and also, of course, he would not have wished Queen Camilla to have been attacked by Harry, so that's most important. I think that one of the reasons that the king didn't find time to see him, we know why William didn't, and that was never expected. But I do think that quite a lot has gone on behind the scenes that we don't necessarily know of. I mean, obviously, when you're commentating, you try and give an air that you have an idea of what's happening. That's why you're talking about it. But of course, a lot may have happened privately, and that first meeting in February, which was so brief, may not have gone well. We simply don't know. Harry revealed no details, but he did go on Good Morning America afterwards, and I think that was something the king might well not have liked. Equally, if he were to come over privately, or if he and Meghan perhaps would come over privately, who knows? We simply do not know where this is going to go, but there's no doubt that it's made headlines, and it's made headlines for all the wrong reasons when it comes to the royal rift, because this is not something that's brought the royal family popularity, and it's also led to polarized debates on Twitter, which we're all familiar with, and with press that the Sussexes certainly would have wished to do without. But on the other hand, again, they have their fans, they have their followers. What they'd be particularly interested in is America and the wider world, and what, after their Nigeria visit, how their popularity is affected by that. I mean, I think that this trip has produced a large number of positive images for Harry, especially, for example, at St. Paul's, where he was supported by his uncle Earl Spencer and his aunt Lady Jane Fellows, and also Spencer cousins. There's no question that he looked very relaxed, and there's also no doubt that when he met bereaved children at Scotty's Little Soldiers from military families, I mean, this too was a very worthy charity. I mean, Invictus was wonderful. No one would dispute that. So from that point of view, I think he will be pleased at the results of his trip. On the other hand, of course, as he knows perfectly well, it has been overshadowed by the royal rift, the rift the Sussexes began, and therefore they might complain that publicity dealt with the fact that he and his father didn't meet. But on the other hand, it was his office that put that out. It would have been noticed anyway, obviously. Equally, the only chance, as I see, the rift being repaired is a totally private meeting, a visit that was private, that no one knew about probably, and taking it from there, because there's no doubt whatever that, well, it has overshadowed something that which was at St. Paul's, which was very memorable, but equally it's not going to go away, and where this goes in the coming weeks and months is another question.